Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting a Dankhold Troggoth from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors Goblin Gaming, who sent me the box set out for review. If you check the description box below you'll find a direct link to their web store, and every time you purchase anything from the web store link it greatly helps my YouTube channel, so please use that link in the description box below. I've painted this up completely differently from the Games Workshop box art. Now I absolutely love the way they've painted up the Dankhold Troggoth on the box art, but there's already a tutorial uploaded showing you how to paint it that way, so I thought I'd try something different and I went for a more icy blue look. I really hope you like this tutorial guys, and if you do please hit the like button, share it amongst friends and maybe even leave a comment. Okay, as always guys, this is going to be a really long video, so go grab yourselves a nice hot drink or maybe even an ice cold beer and we'll get started with the tutorial. I'll start off by painting the Troggoth using Alclad 2's Lacquer Primer White. It's important to note that with lacquer primers they are very harmful if inhaled, so please make sure you're well ventilated, and also make sure that you have a good quality airbrush with PTFE solvent proof seals so the paint doesn't damage your airbrush. I'm priming at 20 psi here and about 3 to 4 inches away, and I'm just letting a really fine mist go over the miniature, and I'm constantly moving the airbrush to make sure that I don't oversaturate any one area with paint and leave unsightly drip marks. I was asked recently, can you actually airbrush the army painters paints? Well, yes you can, they're absolutely fantastic in the airbrush, and as you can see here it's spraying beautifully. Now I didn't use any special mediums to thin this paint down, I just used regular water, but if you do use specific mediums for thinning the paint down it will spray even better than it has for me, but as you can see I had no troubles whatsoever spraying this colour just by watering it down with some regular water. I'm using my trusty Awata Eclipse airbrush here that I got from airbrushes.com. I'll put a link in the description box below and you can check out this airbrush and all of its great features, but I highly recommend Awata airbrushes guys, as they have PTFE solvent proof seals, they come with very long warranties, and they are in my opinion unrivaled for quality. Here I'm showing you that I actually use a hairdryer to speed up the painting process. It's important to know that you have to have it on the lowest heat setting and constantly move the hairdryer. If you keep it stationary in one spot it will damage your model, so be very careful if you are speeding up drying times with a hairdryer. Now we're going to create some contrast in colour using the fog grey colour on the belly of the Troggoth. It's important to note that I'm working much closer here and I'm only pulling a tiny amount back on the airbrush trigger, and I'm slowly building up that grey colour on the Troggoth. We're going to create a highlight now on the belly of the Troggoth using Gorgon hide. Here I'll work just as before, very close to the miniature, and I'm leaving some of the other grey colour behind on the edges. And here's a look at the Troggoth after I've finished all of the airbrushing. As you can see, I've even added a grey patch to his back. Here we're going to be using quick shades, mixing medium and blue tone together. I don't want a really overly dark blue wash to go over the miniature, as it will leave a lot of staining behind and it will spoil the paintwork that we've already done with the airbrush. So I dilute it 1 to 1 with the mixing medium, I mix it around, and then we're going to get a much more consistent and better wash. Here you can see that I'm only letting it pool near the barnacles and those areas, but on flat surfaces of the flesh of the Troggoth I don't let it pool at all, because I really don't want staining left behind on the miniature. Now we're going to create some highlights by dry brushing Games Workshop's Edge Paint Barnacles Blue. It's important to note that I've removed most of the paint on some paper towel and I'm very lightly brushing over the miniature. What this will do is catch all the extreme surface details and create a lovely highlight that's very subtle but will make the miniature pop and come alive. Now we're going to use Games Workshop's Rakarth Flesh to paint all the barnacles on a Dankhold Troggoth. It took me a considerable amount of time to paint all the barnacles on the Troggoth because there's absolutely loads of them, guys. Here you can see what the Dankhold Troggoth looks like with all the barnacles painted. Now we're going to add some other details to the miniature using a Tbone. I'm going to be painting all the stems of all the toadstools and mushrooms, and I'm also going to be painting the nails of the Troggoth and the teeth of the Troggoth. Now I'm going to be using the Army Painter's True Copper. It's important to really mix your metallics and thoroughly shake the bottles, guys, and then paint in 2 thin layers. Now we're going to use Castle Grey from the Army Painter on the Troggoth's weapon. I don't mention it very often, guys, but I always thin my paints down. It's important to note that I only thin them very slightly, depending on what type of paint job I do. If I'm working on something that I want to enter in a competition, I'll probably thin it down really a lot, and I'll paint in many thin layers. But generally I just thin the paints down a tiny amount to make them run more smoothly on the miniature, not leave brushstroke marks behind, and it's something I really strongly recommend. Here I'm painting using Games Workshop's Bane Blade Brown. Red tones used throughout this painting tutorial, but here I'm using it to paint the gums and the bottom lip of the Troggoth. And as you can see, it covers beautifully over that Rakarth flesh and leaves a really nice fleshy look to the lips and gums. Strong Tone by the Army Painter is going to be washed on all of the barnacles. It's also going to be washed on the, I don't even know what it is, guys, the instrument hanging from his neck, and also the haft of the weapon. the army painter's dark tone is going to be washed on the weapon rock head. Stone Golem from the army painter is going to be dry brushed on the weapons rock surface, and as you can see, it's going to really make that weapon pop. Remember, don't scrub at the miniature with the dry brush, just very gently in backwards and forwards motion, just let the details get picked up by the dry brush, don't force it. Now we're going to use Games Workshop's Tbone. We're going to dry brush the haft of the weapon. We're also going to paint the teeth again, and we're going to dry brush the barnacles. Mephiston Red is going to be painted on the rope hanging around the neck of the Troggoth. Emperor's Children from Games Workshop, and also the Army Painter's Chaotic Red is going to be painted on to all of the toadstools and mushrooms that are dotted around the Troggoth. There's no rhyme or reason here which one's going to be pink and which one's going to be red. I just wanted to break up the look of the mushrooms by adding two slightly different colours. All of the toadstools and mushrooms that were painted in Empress Children get a wash of the Army Painter's red tone. Here I'm using Games Workshop's Rhinox hide. I really thin this down about 1:1 to make it easier to saturate all the texture of the sand or ballast that was placed on the base. After allowing the base to thoroughly dry, I'm coming in with Games Workshop Xandri Dust and I'm going to dry brush it on the base. And here you can see the finished Dankhold Troggoth. What a beautiful miniature this is. I wish I could sculpt like the designers. It's just amazing the amount of detail that they're able to cram into these tiny 28mm scale miniatures. The Troggoth's definitely not 28mm though. But yeah, absolutely wonderful miniature, and it was a joy to paint. Guys, I want to say a huge thank you once again to my sponsors, Goblin Gaming. Please use that description box below if you are purchasing anything from Goblin Gaming, as it really does help my channel. Also guys, leave a comment, hit the like button, let me know what you think of the tutorial. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.